Are there any groups for people whose whole families have died? Husband nearly has. He was born into a family of 6, 2 brothers and a sister. He had parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles. Almost all have died and he is 48. He still has his sister. She has survived cancer twice now and an aunt. They all died in different ways, some incredibly tragic, but he is almost all alone. Fortunately, my family is the opposite, so we just took him in. Not yet, but I am at high risk of being an elder orphan. Scary. I'm 21. My grandpa is on the brink of passing and my GMA passed in 2019 and my mom, who was an only child, has passed back in 2008. I'm the oldest of the grandchildren and I feel so broken and what to do. I do still have my father's family, but to their own personal issues I don't reach out much. They stopped reaching out as well. I was always closer to my mom's family. After my GPA passes I feel like I'm going to feel so lost. There's a Reddit for almost anything, so Wold think so. Check out r/finderdit to see. I grew up hearing a lot of stories about people who survived the Holocaust, even when none of their family did. In addition to the sub I mentioned in my other comment, I also found this post, a recent one from R Widower, that drew a host of similar comments from people who had lost many family members in a short time. Heartbreaking stories, but may be helpful for you to not feel alone. You are looking for grief counseling or grief support group. It won't be dedicated to loss of a whole family, but that certainly fits within the parameter of the group. Yup. 41M. Lost 8 family members in 6 months. Been on my own since 13. I feel ya. Yes. A grief counseling group or grief support group. Any town or city of decent size will have at least one grief group of some sort. If you have a mental health center near you, call and ask for information or contacts. Check with your PCP or local hospital. Call and ask for their chaplaincy ministerial department or social service department, or look on their website for info. Call a local funeral home and ask for info they have about local grief support groups counseling. Mental health counselors can be sources of support also. They can help you if you're having trouble coping. If the deaths are causing anxiety or depression. It actually sounds like you might benefit from a few individual counseling sessions. Being alone, all of your family dead by the time you've reached 30. That has to be difficult when you think about. Consider some individual therapy if you can afford it. Definitely try to find a grief support group. Most are led by professional mental health counselors or ministers. Old people with no descendants. Look at Gaza. My dad left when I was super young and my mom passed when I was 13. I was an only child and lived with my grandparents for a few years. My grandfather passed a few years ago and my grandmother and I are estranged. If I didn't have my wife and my kids, I'd have nobody.